So here with me is Andy, who's going to talk a little bit about Project CARS, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm Andy Tudor, I'm the creative director on Project CARS, and yeah, we're here at Gamescom to have a quick discussion about Project CARS, what it is and what's lying in the future.
All right, so the guys in the studio already did talk a little bit about the project. We never had somebody from the actual project on the show, so very delighted to have that. So why don't you tell us about the project itself from your perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, as you say, it's a different kind of approach. Like the people out there can get hold of the game right now. It's in development. It's a brand new way of developing, basically. It's almost like we're developing in a fishbowl, and everyone can kind of like look in and see us in there. I like to think of it as kind of like having a backstage pass, right? Normally you'd go to a concert and see people just up on stage and you'd see the actual performance, i.e. the actual game. With the way that we do things via the WMD portal, you can kind of go backstage and see everyone preparing and all the things that happen behind the scenes to actually get that concert, get that music performance and get that game, you know, working. So for most people, it's probably going to be quite a strange experience, kind of seeing the things that we go through and the time it takes to get just like one pixel on screen looking perfect. But then also, you get to play the game right now. There's no... You can call it a long beta, you could call it an everlasting demo, you could call it whatever you want. But basically, you can, you know, go to wmdportal.com, sign up, get the game right now, and you can play through, I think, like over 10 to 20 cars, something like 40 tracks as well, and you can have a race around, you can get involved with the community, you can kind of tell us what you think of the game and give us suggestions on which way to steer the game. Similarly, we can ask you, like, hey guys, what do you think of the game? Or we're thinking of planning this feature, or yeah, we know that tree doesn't look quite as good as it should be, or yeah, we know the handling on that car isn't quite there, you know, and we can ask you questions and get your feedback, and it's crazy because there's such a huge passion from the community out there for like people doing screenshots for us, for the community gallery every week, the trailers that people put out there, you know, it's amazing that people have so much dedication to the project that they're willing to just put their hours in and capture video and then create a trailer for us. And do you know what that is? It means that everything that we put out there on the web is done by the community. It means that, you know, when you look at the game, it means that there's no kind of marketing spin put on it. It means that an actual player actually took that screenshot, and you can be kind of guaranteed that what you're going to get from the game is exactly what you see on the website and in the marketing of it, basically. So yeah, it's a real conversation that we have with the community, and you know, we've got some really big plans for the game as well, so we think we're kind of onto a winner.
All right, speaking of plans, how do you keep that in line? I mean, on the one hand, you have your vision of where the game should go, and then you have the, as you said, the large community who might think it should go into another direction. How do you actually condense that into one stream?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a case of, as you say, you know, we've got our vision of the game. We think we've got kind of some kick-ass features that are going to be amazing, you know, when the game finally comes out, things that haven't been done before, or things that we are doing like no one ever has done before. Our dreams are big, you know, so the original kind of design document and stuff that went up on the forum was kind of our ideal situation, our wish list, something that we came up in private and then like exposed to everybody. And yeah, you know, since then, you know, things have slightly changed. Then we kind of massaged that design a little bit. We had a design meeting a while ago, and you know, we put things out there like, you know, should we have rally in the game? It was on the original list, and it didn't, you know, that was one of the things that didn't quite gel with what people kind of were wanting. Yes, they absolutely want rally, you know, but we currently have a concentration on track, we have a concentration on tarmac-based racing, so whether that's GT or Formula or IndyCar or touring car or whatever like that, that seems like a really nice focused area to look at. And then we can look at things like off-road, we can look at drifting, we can look at drag racing, we can look at monster trucks, whatever, whatever it may be, as DLC or as an expansion pack or something that comes later, or maybe we never get to that, yeah? So, yes, we have our vision, we have like the cars that we personally would like to see. I mean, there are some cars that the vehicle team are desperate to get their hands on and desperate to model because they just love making vehicles. Similarly, there are tracks that the environment team really want to get to because it's a stunning location or it's something a bit different from what we've currently seen. But if we put it out there like, oh, we're thinking of adding X track or X car, there's always like a poll that goes up to see what the community think of that idea, and that really steers the ship. So yeah, it's a bit, as I said before, it's a conversation with us. We have our ideas, but we can always be overwritten. So.
All right. Speaking of cars and tracks and everything, of course, there's always licensing involved in there. How do you work that out?
Well, I mean, we've got our wish list, as I was saying. We've got our list of tracks. So let's talk about tracks, for example. So it's my personal wish that I could look at a world map and there would be a track in every kind of continent. It's not all centered in Western Europe, or it's not all centered on the west coast of America or something like that. I'd personally like to fill out those gaps, like Interlagos in Brazil, and we've just got Bathurst in Australia. So like casting the net out there quite wide. And having a really truly global, representation of racing as it is in the real world. So now that we have our wish list, we now start approaching the licensors, the tracks themselves, and go, hey, we've got this cool looking game. We've got a community already there who really like it. We may have worked with you in the past off our previous titles as well, so that's a good foot in the door. And we go from there, basically. Same with cars. In terms of Pagani, we worked with Pagani on our previous title. They loved what we did with the car. It was the first time you could ever drive the Pagani Huayra in a game. Not many people are going to get the chance to drive it in real life as well, So a video game is probably reaching more people than, will get to drive that car in real life. So, yeah, I mean, licensing takes a very long time. It's not up to us sometimes. It's meetings and lawyers and lots of paperwork and things like that, and fees and all that kind of stuff. So as we've always said, and as I've always said personally, as soon as we know, as soon as we get something, as soon as somebody has signed a piece of paper, we put it up on the website. So we've just had the BMW announcement. Previously we've had the Mitsubishi and Ford announcements, the Motorsports Vision tracks. I think people are already aware of the fact that when it comes to Friday, people expect some sort of announcement from ourselves, something in time for the weekend. I mean, that's my personal... not everyone has their own... a lot of time during the week to play games, whether it's family or work or whatever, but the weekend is everyone's playtime, right? So Fridays are a really good time to... Boom, here comes a new build, there's a brand new car to play, or here's some new announcement or something, and you can play that for the weekend. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to licensing, it just... As soon as we know, you guys know.
All right. So once licensing is done, you're ready to get the track into the game. How do you go about it? Is it like GPS data, or do you actually go to the track and do measurements yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually got planned a few tracks that are laser scanned. So yeah, those are kind of on the list already. A lot of the tracks that are in the game currently are based off either previous, experience, having that data. Basically, we just try to make it as accurate as possible. I mean, I've always said that sometimes in a game, regardless of whether the actual CAD data is correct or not, if you were to drive that in real life, it would actually feel more, like the Nordschleife, for example. It's almost like a roller coaster, going up and down, and the way that your weight distribution moves around the car and things like that. There are some corners that you come up to, and it's almost like a wall in front of you. The CAD data may actually say that the elevation is just 10 degrees, but when you actually turn that corner in real life, it feels like 40 degrees, right? It feels like something that you're going to slam into a piece of tarmac there. So.
Yeah, I know. First time I tried the track in real life, I thought that this doesn't look like anything I saw on GT5. It's like, it's steep and it goes up and down.
Exactly, but I'm sure the GT5 guys would also equally go on camera in an interview and say, we try to make it as authentic as possible, this and the other. Yeah, but you know, nothing substitutes for the fact of actually getting in a car, going to a track, experiencing it. You know, you're not officially allowed to race at a Nordic Life, but you know, pushing the car as hard as you can or as hard as you feel comfortable with. It's a very different emotional experience to what maybe the mathematical data tells you. So that means we try to make it as authentic as possible to what you actually see in real life. You know, a lot of the lap times and things like that are bang on to what they are in real life as well. So I think people can be kind of pretty guaranteed that we are trying to get it as authentic and realistic as possible, regardless of whether we actually get to laser scan or not. So yeah, there you go.
Does a real race car have a center post? Of course not, and neither should your race rig. The R-Seat Evo V3 with its unique design has no center post. The R-Seat Evo replicates what you would be accustomed to in your daily driver or something you may take to the track. It can accommodate drivers from 4'11" up to over 6'6" tall and is pre-drilled for all of the major wheel manufacturers on the market today. When it comes to performance, look no further than the R-Seat Evo V3. Check out the R-Seat Evo and other sim racing equipment by heading to www.rseat.net.
The T500 RS wheel and pedal set from Thrustmaster, officially licensed by Sony in Gran Turismo 5 and designed for the most die-hard racing fans. It has unmatched power and precision, it's backlash-free and totally responsive. With this wheel and pedal set, users will go farther than ever before in their racing experience. To find out where to purchase the T500 RS, visit www.thrustmaster.com.
All right. Similar question regarding the cars. How do you go about modeling those? Is it just pictures, or where do you get the idea of the physics, for example, so that each car feels different?
Okay, so I'm glad this is on camera, right? I'm going to say this once. I'm sick of saying this in every project, you know, every interview. No offense to yourself, yeah. When it comes to cars, our car team, like, they get as much reference as possible. They take thousands of photos of these vehicles, both inside and out. We work with the manufacturers to make sure that the car is absolutely 100% realistic. So no, it's not a case that somebody Googles what an M3 looks like or whatever and tries to make it as good as possible. No, that's ridiculous, right? The car artists are digital craftsmen. You know, so the same amount of work that goes into the real car goes into like the digital version of it. All the materials on the dashboard and everything is absolutely pristine and looks fantastic.
When it comes to platforms, I suppose that PC is the one to go, and that's pretty much the only platform you could have that?
No. You need to get more informed. No, so Project Cars is coming out on PC, 360, PlayStation 3, and Wii U. The PC version is always going to be, it's always going to take advantage of like the very latest hardware, right? You know, because PCs are ultimately customizable like that. So just think of it like Crysis 3 or Battlefield 3. You know, the PC version is always going to be beautiful and gorgeous and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean like the console versions are going to be, you know, stripped down, inferior versions of those. You know, the consoles and stuff still have life in them. They're still, especially the current generation and the Wii U coming up. So, you know, although they have their own challenges and restrictions and stuff, the console players will quite happily, you know, be able to see that the level of quality of the graphics, the frame rate, the whole experience is just as good as it will on the PC. But the PC will always get that extra little 5% that makes it, you know, the highest definition and the highest frame rate.
You already mentioned it, so get informed. Release dates. How about that?
So the release date for us, because we're doing it because we develop in a slightly different way. The release date that we've chosen is next year, 2013. I think we're saying around Thanksgiving, but ultimately, because we work with the community, if the community don't think the game is ready, if we don't think the game is ready, if we all agree that we could do with an extra month or two to, you know, do that fine polish, then that date will change. Similarly, it could move forward as well. If, you know, if our artists, you know, have lots of energy drinks and everything, you know, and get lots of content in there, then that, you know, the release date can come forward. If features go in and they work first time, which, come on, let's face it, they're not going to, right? You know, then you know, think that deadline can change. There might also be a better time to release. The game might be finished in whatever, summer, Thanksgiving, whatever, Christmas, but that might not be a ideal time to launch. You know, at the end of the day, you are releasing a game, you're releasing a product onto the market, which is out there with all the other products that there are on the market. So you just got to gauge when's the best time to release at the nearer the time, really.
Since you've already put out the game as an open, prolonging beta, what's then the final business model behind that? When the game comes out, will it be a free-to-play with extra to pay downloads or tracks or whatever, or features, or will it be a boxed version or something? Right.
Yeah. The original concept, the original business model was a free-to-play title. The idea, I mean, I think some of that, you know, has come from the idea that we put it out there for people to play right now, and then through microtransactions or, you know, whatever else, you know, you can basically bolt on the bits that you want. Ultimately, I think we've kind of changed that way of thinking, and it's more likely to be a boxed title with downloadable content, bug patches and things like that. But again, the market is constantly changing. There are lots of, I mean, it's mostly governed by retail and box products currently, but who's to say that next year, potentially when new consoles come out, or maybe people change their views on how free-to-play works on consoles, then we could kind of reevaluate that then. So currently it's a boxed product, but yeah, we'll, as I say, reevaluate next year and see what the best strategy is.
Okay, covering a little bit on multiplayer. Yep. What features do you have there?
Oh God, that's a huge question. So right now, currently, you can race in Project Cars, and we have leaderboard support. So currently, right now, there's a lot of back-end stuff going on. A lot of stuff talking about getting lap times uploaded quickly. I mean, I think there's about a 10-minute delay at the moment. There's a lot of back-end stuff going on with that. The next thing to do is a natural progression of that, which is the ability to have ghosts of your own car, and ghosts downloadable and shareable between players. So that you can see that's a natural evolution of a mode where you're already trying to set a best lap. You bolt on then the ability to have ghosts, and then you bolt on the ability to actually play together with each other. So multiplayer, I kind of prefer to call it connected. Connected broadens that by saying co-op mode, me and you can play as a team. We are simulating GT racing in a game, and therefore what about driver swaps? Yeah, how are you going to handle that in a game? How are you going to handle the need to come into the pit, you get out of the car, somebody else get back in? Now that's a different type of co-op. That's almost like an asynchronous way of playing, because when I'm driving, what are you doing, right? Yeah. So the way that we want to tackle that is to give you lots of things to do. So you can look at the telemetry, you can talk to me as if you were my pit crew chief, you can see all the timings of everybody, you can actually watch the race via TV cameras, you can say, oh my God, there's been a crash up ahead, or one of the team behind are catching up on you. Like, what are you doing? You need to speed up. Your tire pressure is going down. You're running out of fuel. You know, you need to talk to me as a driver the same way that a real team, a real pit crew would, and that's pretty cool. So that's one type of co-op. The other type of co-op is me and you racing on the same team. Yeah, so you're driver 1, driver 2. We're on the Gamescom team. You know, we're racing against the SMS team. We're racing against whoever, and we're all in the race together, trying to get our team up there in like constructors championship. And then there's obviously traditional versus races. We want full ladders and tournaments, you know, people being able to create their own events and share that and join races on a Saturday afternoon when we ourselves have put a special event up, which is like we currently do with our weekly competitions. So yeah, it's pretty in-depth there basically in terms of multiplayer, and you know, we've got a long way to go still in the terms of development, and as I say, we're doing a lot of back-end stuff at the moment to make sure that it's as seamless as possible, make sure that you don't see cars, you know, jittering around the track and all that kind of stuff, which is very difficult nowadays. A lot of people have internet connections just over Wi-Fi, which is not as reliable as a connected cable. So yeah, there's a lot of work kind of there to do. Luckily, you can count on our previous experience with Need for Speed Shift that the online experience will be good in terms of connectivity, being able to get into lobbies quickly, people not dropping out all the time, things like that. So, you know, just kind of bear with us on that, and you'll see more stuff on the forum as time goes on.
Speaking of problems with online racing, how do you actually keep out problems with unbehaving, bad driving, purposely bad driving drivers?
Yeah, so it's known as griefing, really, which is, you know, people just coming into your race and just trying to cause trouble. Even if you're not trying to cause trouble, you know, you've still got everyone crashing on the first corner. If you're a skilled driver, then that won't happen. But unfortunately, you know, you're going to have unskilled drivers in there as well, and they then annoy the skilled drivers, and you know, you then start getting forum posts saying this game's rubbish, and you know, what are they going to do about it, and the whole experience is ruined, and things like that. Every previous game we've tried to address that. In Need for Speed Shift, like, we had a whole precision versus aggression, so there was that natural mix of those people together. And what we did there was, eventually over time, if you were more aggressive, you would only be put in aggressive races. If you were more precise, you would eventually go into more races that were clean, and you were with kind of like skilled people. In Shift 2, we further advanced that by almost giving you penalties, but you never saw it. You never saw it on screen, these penalties. But under the hood, we were tracking every time that you rubbed paint with another car, every time you went off-road, every time you crashed, things like that. And so therefore, it tried to filter out the people, well, it tried to put people where they kind of belong in terms of their competency. With Project Cars, we're going even further with that, you know, so we're tracking so many stats, or we will be tracking so many stats in terms of how many times you disconnect from just a rage quit. You just kind of think, oh, I'm never going to come first, I'm just going to quit out. How many races that you've won, how many races you've won consecutively, how many races you've won, how many times you've rubbed paint with other people, you know, all that stuff will give you a value which determines how good a racer you are. And then as you go into races, you know, that value will then be used to matchmake you, hopefully, perfectly with other people of your ilk. Yeah, I mean, we can try our best, but you know, we've got such a broad range of people who want to play the game out there that, you know, you can only go so far. So we're giving you the tools to allow you to get the experience out that you want.
All right, sounds great. Anything else you want to add from your side?
No, not really. I mean, it's get out there. You can get the game for just €10, which is nothing. I've probably got €10 change on me right now, you know. And there's such variety in the game out there, you know. I really want to make sure that there's open wheel racing in there. There's oval racing, you know, a kind of NASCAR kind of feel. If you're into Formula cars or Indy cars, then there's something in there for you as well. GT, touring, karting, there's so much in there. You know, the career is kind of based around that variety. You know, you and me have probably got very different tastes to in our racing. Similarly, the people who are watching this have got very different tastes out there, you know. So we want to basically make sure that variety is in there, and you can pick the one or two things that you love, and you've got a really deep experience out there. Similarly, we know that there are lots of people who are casual players, you know, play from the chase cam behind the car and have, you know, the assists on and the braking line and things like that. But then we also know that there are the hardcore guys on there, you know, the guys with like 1,000 posts on our WMD forum right now, you know, who want everything dialed to the max. They want the full simulation, the full hardcore experience. And I think, you know, if people on previous titles, we've maybe tried to pick one or the other, or given the options there to kind of dial the experience in there. I think we're kind of going overboard on that now, I mean, in a good way. You know, if you look at our options menu and all that kind of stuff, there's tons of options in there to really change, like even in terms of like how you want the lighting and things like that, how you want the AI to behave. So there's really no excuse for kind of turning the game on and going, oh, I hate this, it's not what I want. Because all the options are there for you to change that experience, and you know, we're going to obviously provide some presets. One of the things being like a simple questionnaire. You know, when you turn the game on, it'll ask you what experience do you want out of this? Are you a Forza Gran Turismo player? Are you an iRacing player? Are you a Burnout Paradise player? You know, and it'll fix certain things to kind of to get that kind of same experience that you want. So. Yeah, go check it out right now. There's lots of things to play with already, and yeah, more things coming over the course of development.
All right, so that wraps up our look at this wonderful known project. As Andy said, keep their website always close in your bookmarks, and
yeah, just always keep it open in an extra tab. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at Slightly Mad Team, and yeah, just keep informed of what's going on.
Okay, so thanks, Andy, for this look at your project, and that wraps up my little interview.